Vinicius Junior of Real Madrid faced um, racial abuse from a Benfica football player, and then something that we should all condemn. And you know, different quarters were saying statements of condemnation, and rightly so. FIFA, UEFA, statements of condemnation while investigation is being done. You know, it's so sad that a beautiful game, the beautiful game of football is turned into something used for racial abuse. It's so very sad. And the campaign against that kind of action has been on, and yet these incidents keep happening. So yesterday, the Benfica player said such to Vinicius Junior, and we've seen similar instances in the past. Public figures displaying images or posting images that tends to define um, people by certain stereotypes, and so sad. Any manner in which people express things that have racial undertone should be condemned. And whoever does it, whether the person holds political office or football player, it should be condemned. I want to say that the things we say, the things that come out of our mouth, it's from the things we think about. Our expressions, our words stems from our thought process. And that is why speech is often used in psychology, psychiatry, mental health to assess one's thought process. Because if all is not well with your thought process, it also shows in the speech you give, in the speech you make. And so speech starts from thought. That is why if one's thought process is not well organized, the speech also becomes disorganized. If one's thought processes are intact and okay, it also reflects in the speech. Now, before you say anything, usually you thought about it. And the things we think about based on our experiences, based on what we're exposed to and all that. As a professional footballer like that Benfica player, he must have known about the campaign against racial abuse. He must be fully aware, and something that he would have come across, and he knows that it's bad, and that is why he used his JC to cover his mouth, because one, he knows that it's what he's saying is wrong and it's bad, and he doesn't want to be caught on camera voicing it. And so he used the JC to morph what he says, and also to hide this lip facial expression so that people cannot people can read lips, and not confirm what he says. But Kylian Mbappe and other people said he heard, Kylian Mbappe said other people heard it, what he said. And so he knows what he was doing was wrong, and that is why he made efforts to hide it, to disguise it. But still wrong is still wrong. The point is, what is wrong? What we say that is wrong, it starts from one's thoughts. So if anyone doesn't want to say, forget about whether you're angry or the excitement of the moment, or forget about the way Vinicius Junior celebrated. Forget about that. Mourinho and Benfica players, look at the way they celebrated in the last match they played before yesterday. The match where they scored a goal in the 9 minutes of the game, and it's made them qualify for this knockout phase of the Champions League. When they scored that goal and they knew they had qualified to move to the knockout stage, look at the manner in which they celebrated, you know. And no one would you now say the way Mourinho and Benfica celebrated warranted them to be racially abused? No. So it's not about how Vinicius celebrated. It's not about how whether the player was angry or fun. No, it's not about that. The things we say when we are angry are the things we have thought about before. The anger just makes it easier for us to say it. Or if you are excited and you say something, the emotion make it easier for you to say it. But it's not the excuse. It doesn't excuse it. You have thought about it. You know. So you have thought about people of a certain race, certain color. You've thought about them in that light. And probably you've said it in private, you know, among friends, among people who share similar sentiments. And then you would not say it on a normal day, except when you become angry or excited, whatever. Now, if you are interested, for anyone who is interested in not doing this, that is just what the point I want to make here. If you are interested in not racially abusing people or saying things, that are offensive to a group of people, if you're interested in not doing that, you have to start with your own thought process. Start with your own thought process. First and foremost, you ask yourself, why is this thing wrong? Why is it offensive to people when this thing is said or when this thing is portrayed? What is the history behind it? Why do people find it offensive? I'm not going to go into all that. What you do as someone who doesn't want to use such language, go into the history and read about blacks, read about slavery, read about how blacks were treated as if they were less than humans. Read about all that and read about how blacks were described by people who enslaved them, by white owners and all that. Read all about that. Know the history. Know about it. And then realize within yourself that, you know, this thing is coming from a bad place. It has an history of enslavement, history of things that are bad, that were done to a certain group of people, you know, and that is wrong to perpetuate that kind uh, of 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 uh, of feelings or talk towards people, towards that group of people. It is wrong. We are all humans and we are all blessed with talents, with everything. There's no field of endeavor where you cannot find people of all colors, of all race. We are all blessed. The only difference that sets some people apart is opportunity.